Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The biggest invisible thing, that you're not here by accident and that God loves you. You can call God the creative source. You can call God Spirit if you don't like the word God. But there is a Creator. Over 80% of the planet knows this, is part of organizations that claim this, that believe that there is life of some kind after death. It is an intuitive, monotheistic belief of the planet that you were created. And as you sit in the chair, you have the choice to decide about that Creator. Is it love? Is it accident? And what is the relationship? We're here to tell you, as we have every single time we channel, that the relationship is love. That you were born magnificent and it goes from there. Free choice, an invisible aspect, guides your life into that energy you wish. But standing next to you are all manner of invisible attributes that have their hands out. There are so many. One of the largest ones I have brought to you from the very beginning. You might say, scientifically, it's the core of epigenetics, and that is this, that the body is listening to what you are saying. And the body listens in two ways. The body is aware of your attitude and what you say from day to day. Believe it or not, that attitude emulates to the body who you think you are. And so if you carry an attitude that says you're nothing and never will be, the body cooperates. That is how powerful you are. But the other way that it listens is the way that we have taught you before, an invisible force, if you wish. Force. Like every cell had an antenna listening to that force. And that was the consciousness of the human being, informing the body what it wants. We've even described it as consciousness homeopathy, where a little goes a long way and the cells listen to you. And we've told you that consciousness is energy. That has now been proven on your planet, and it has changed so many things, a lot of thinking. If consciousness is energy, then there may be rules of consciousness. And if there are energetic rules of consciousness, one of them might be that it is focusable. And that is in your body. Your body is listening. Every cell is aware. This is an invisibility, not taught necessarily in the places you'd expect it to be. But more and more are starting to realize that you can shape your own existence, that which is health for you. You can change the scheme, if you want to say that, of how fast and profoundly your body ages. If you do nothing, we have told you the body goes on automatic. Without direction, without focus, without intent, the body freewheels. It's out there, and it listens to all that is around it, that tells it how old it is and the drugs it should take and how long it'll last. That is Kryon from the beginning. But dear ones, in the last years, there has been another invisibility This one is difficult to teach. This one is beyond the scope mostly of logic. This is the one that is controversial. This is the one that might even be laughed at. And it deals with the field. The idea that consciousness and the energy of it is all around you from the potentials that is developed from it. I'm going to give you an example. A simple metaphor. There are many doors in your life as you walk around. One door has a person standing behind it who is angry, has his hand on the doorknob, it's about to open. There's another door. It's a woman holding food. She's been to the store. Her hand is on the knob. It's about to open. There's another door. That door has something that is actually happening at the moment. It's an accident happening at the moment. It's another door. It's the love of your life. He, she has the hand on the door. Question, are they real? In this metaphor, in this puzzle, they are. Picture it in real life. Is that an impossibility to have those things around you? And the answer is no, that is not an impossibility. In fact, it's very probable. Each one of those examples is a consciousness that has energy. We've told you this before, that when you go to a theater perhaps alone or with someone else, and you sit down next to an unknown person and you feel something that makes you want to move. That is a consciousness that literally is felt by you because it's energy. They're unbalanced or they're ill. And without knowing them or seeing them, you move. And that is you sensing something in the field. You're already experiencing these things, dear ones. This is an invisible, beautiful tool. Human beings can sense what's in the field. Some will call this intuition. It's part of it, but it's not all of it. Now, to add to this puzzle, dear ones, now you put the glue together. There's something called coherence. Coherence would be that which is a confluence of togetherness or a synchronization of consciousness of like kind. It's created perhaps when you get together in a group like this, when those would pray together or sing together, for music creates these kinds of things. Or perhaps even now, a channeling, where you realize that what you're hearing is dripping with the love and the purpose of God to you. I was giving you the potentials in the field, because one of those doors behind one was an ill pope and another one about to take his place. Is that prophecy when I'm giving you what's in the field already? It's potentials. Now back to those doors. You're sitting there with a confluence of coherence, with things that suit you, things that are filled with purpose for you. And you are then able to sense the doors that are about to open. You're not going to go near the one with the angry person or the accident that is happening. And you'll be motivated perhaps to the love or the food or survival. But there won't be any question. And if you could pick a road perhaps that led to the situation behind the door, you'd know. And it's not fortune telling, and it's not even being psychic. It's practical because you are sensing what is, not the future, and making a decision about where you're going based upon what is happening. It's difficult to describe because there would be those who say, well, it hasn't happened yet. That's telling the future. That's not correct. It has happened in that those on the other side of the doors are a consciousness. And that consciousness, just like the one you sat next to in the theater, is that which you can pick up. That's invisible. That's you creating your reality. Beyond talking to yourselves, I just gave you the secret to creating a reality that is yours, meeting the right people, having airplanes that work or not, knowing things that perhaps others don't because you can sense what's behind the consciousness of the potential. And then there is the question, okay, you've got my interest, Kryon. I don't seem to have this. And that's where I'm going to tell you, you don't have it because you don't believe it. You don't have it because someone has either told you it doesn't exist or talked you out of it, or have told you that it belongs only to those who are strange or odd, it cannot exist. Did you know that biologists have already named it entrainment? Where biology seems to, for no reason at all, synchronize together with other individuals in a scenario that is unexplainable. It's already known. And this is the next step. What if there were an invisibility that lets you sense what to do next, that makes sense for you to avoid the accident, to make sure you're at the right place at the right time, or to open the door and meet love? Dear ones, the Creator has given you this, and in this new energy, it's becoming sharpened. Last night, I sat before the sisters. It's beautiful to sit in front of the females who carry the energy of compassion and teaching and sacredness and shamanship. And in their Akash, they're feeling it and they know it. It's beautiful to sit in front of humans who are the teachers of humans. And I told them that a flower is opening. It's a wonderful example, especially to the women. A flower is opening with the essence of reality that heretofore seemed to be that which was not real. The essence of the flower is the realization that perhaps some of these things are true, available, doable, and perhaps even something you could examine. This ability to rise from your chair and sense what is there is available to all humanity all the time. It's a sharpening of intuition. Some of you have to practice in order to understand what it feels like. But once you start, you realize it's there, it's real. There are so many, even in this room, who would listen and come, who have said, I can tell you the stories that Kryon is right, that I felt something that either brought me to the chair today or took me to a person where I had a healing, and it was beautiful. And you start to realize this is a life practice that will keep you in a beautiful place for a very long time. Control over the things that you thought were uncontrollable. It's invisible, it's the field, it's real, it's consciousness, it's energy. And it's here. Old soul, I've said it before, it's available to you first because you have the tools to use it. Your Akash rings with the wisdom of understanding these words. Your Akash rings with a maturity that says, Kryon's right. And you will then teach the others, the new ones, of the ability that has always been theirs. And there's more. Invisible things come with the love of God and purpose, and it's the reason why you're so magnificent. And now you're starting, perhaps, to understand why we say what we say about a better humanity that is coming. We leave it there. But there's more. There's always more. Go from this place changed. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. I face a group of beautiful souls today, many of whom have not seen this live. And so I say some of the same things I always do. You notice that the space between the introduction and the channeling is short. That there's no preparation for the cellular structure to receive the higher self and me, like it has been in the past. And there are those who would say that it needs to be so, not understanding what has happened with my partner. I'll say it yet again, a meld has taken place where there does not have to be a yin and a yang. One is human, one is spiritual. The meld is that spirit wants to be closer to your consciousness. The higher self wants to build a bridge to your innate. All of these things, so that you might carry around the ability to move into a state of awareness instantly and out again. In the past, your own cellular structure carried an energy, an old one, which was far lower than the potential is today. And in that past, it was necessary for a human being to prepare themselves very carefully to receive that which you are looking at today. Channeling must be discerned in its validity. If you've come and you don't believe it and you're folding your arms and you're looking at this today, you'll say nothing has changed, it's the man in the chair. If you're one who discerns energy and sees things with quantum eyes, which most old souls can, you'll know the energy has shifted. You'll hear truth because it is compassionate, because it is caring, because it never asks you to do things you wouldn't normally do, because it resounds with the feeling of family. The truth is that your cellular structure is now so much more able to carry a higher vibration than ever before. For decades, for eons, you have slogged through a situation where the dark and the light on the planet was different than it is today. You literally carried expectations of failure because you had been here and done this so many times, and it was so difficult. And part of the new process of the new normal that we teach is changing the expectations. Hence the affirmations. Affirmations today are more important than they were in the old energy because they posture that which is possible instead of expecting that which you think is not. And as yourselves hear you talk about the glorious things that your cellular structure knows you can be, it then cooperates. We gave you the chapter and the verse of how this works. We gave you the minutia. We ask you to examine homeopathy, where you have a tincture of practically nothing, a remedy of parts per million that are too small to be detected by instruments that you put into your body under the tongue and give it a signal, an affirmation of healing. And the body heals. We told you that millions of those on this planet depend on this system far more than your culture does. And they believe it. Dear ones, this is an example exactly of what I'm speaking of. Think of the homeopathy cure, the remedy, the tincture, as an affirmation for the body. It's chemical. Yours is verbal. Starting to show and tell the cells of your body that you are beyond what it used to be. And part of that beyondness is a meld with spirit that means that you can flip back and forth into the most profound spiritual information of your life. On the spot, your intuition will come to you, so you'll say the right things, know the right things, know which way to turn, which way not to turn, know what's next, know when to be quiet, know when not to make a decision. And it's going to be so intuitive. Dear ones, there's no reason to slog through these things, to wring your hands, to call those and ask them for advice when you've got the master inside. This is what's taught today, and I'm not the only one to teach it. The very indigenous of the planet foretold it. A higher consciousness after the precession of the equinoxes, they even gave you the number of years you had where it would be enhanced. All of these things are being taught. It is the reason I'm here, to tell you about a planet that is different, but a human who is really different. There's some other things we'd like you to put together. Do you know what the human Merkaba is? Merkaba. The Hebrew terminology, which means to ride, derived from the ascension of Elijah. It is a description of an enormous field that is sacred and invisible around each of you, filled with information, beauty, energy. It has been studied in the patterning of it, the sacred geometry of it. Those who can see it and draw it know what it contains. It's 8 meters wide, 26 feet. And it means that each of you are sitting in the other's Merkaba. Now, if that is true, there is an interface of everyone to everyone, and it's physical. That means you're connected. On a linear scale, you might want to draw a line from you to every other human in the room, including the man in the chair. Now, if that's so, let me ask you, do you understand how synchronicity might work? Because everyone here is connected to everyone here. Now, if you believe this, and it's not too much for you, you can start to expand it to the soul level. The higher self of the individual is partly in you and partly on the other side of the veil. The higher part of it is a vibrating higher part. It is the peace of God inside you. And if it is true that part of it is on the other side of the veil, it means that it is resounding to every other human on the planet. Suddenly, the lines that you draw between you in this room, you must now draw to every other person on the planet. When something beautiful happens, you can celebrate it across the entire planet. When a sorrowful thing happens, you have the empathy and you feel it on the other side of the planet. The empathy for both positive and negative things on this planet is starting to grow exponentially, and that is why there'll come a time when you'll never kill another human on purpose.
That's why we say you'll have the end of war, which is an old energy perception that is only a survival mode for an ancient time. That happens because of the connection, and that happens because the connection is being enhanced. There are still those of very low energy on the planet, still in survival mode, still trying to get their way, who have no concept of this empathy. And it's the empathy that will eventually wipe out those who don't understand it or have it at all. In other words, love will prevail. You are starting only to see that now. It is the beginning of a new era. The astrology you heard today pinpoints that. Let me give you another phrase. There's no more fence sitting. You're either with them or you're against them. Now we're talking about the light of the planet. Old soul, you wouldn't be in the room or listening to this unless you were with it. Understand that this army, if you want to call it that, of light, is growing also exponentially, and it doesn't necessarily those who believe in what you believe. We're talking about common sense. We're talking about decency. We're talking about love. And you don't have to be enlightened to know about love. That's what's happening. But your light on this planet right now is creating this. It's the engine for the rest of them. That's why you sit here. That's why you listen to these channels, because you can feel it. That's why perhaps you'll temper your words to be a little different than before, so as not to offend. To understand that whoever is standing in front of you, no matter what you disagree with or agree with, they are a creature just like you, with a soul that is made from love. You can talk to the ancients and say, how did they do it? They said, you look for God in everybody first. Your adversary comes at you, and the first thing you do is say, where is God inside? And it tempers what you say, how you say it. And I'll tell you something. No matter who it is who comes at you, will change because of it. Dear ones, this is the teaching past 2012. If you look hard enough, you'll find that teaching way before 2012. But nobody was listening like they are today. That's the difference. A planet whose ears, metaphorically, awareness metaphorically, are far, far greater than they ever were before. You see the things that are happening around the world and you cry for them. You feel for them. At the same time, it increases the compassion of the planet and understands what you don't want in the future ever. It sets resolves. It changes governments. It moves things like it's never moved before. The things that are happening in Turkey right now are literally caused from what happened in Turkey a little while back. People are deciding to get off the fence. They don't want it the way it used to be. They don't want the same old anymore. And the old souls of this planet, in their countenance and in their love, even as you sit there as an observer, you change reality. I'll close with this. The statement that I just made is extremely metaphysical. Even as the observer, you change reality. Now, at your leisure, go talk to a physicist about that statement and see if there's anything physical that that person will tell you and what they've discovered about the laws of quantum physics. The laws of quantum physics say the observer carries as much energy as the reality of it. Just by observing something, you can change it. Welcome to the way things work, dear human, because they're now approaching mastery. where you're really going to have control of it. That's all for now. And so it is.